My name is Darlene Hart. I'm the CEO and the founder of a company called U.S. Tax and Financial Services. We are a firm of U.S. tax accountants and lawyers, and we specialize in the foreign side of U.S. tax law. We've been in business since 1986. We have about 70 professionals. We're all lawyers and accountants, and we have offices in London, Zurich, Geneva, and Stockholm. We have no offices in the United States. Sorry, there's too much competition there. So we concentrate really on the foreign side of U.S. tax law. We deal with a lot of the 7 million Americans living outside the United States, as well as a lot of foreign nationals investing in the United States, or Americans living abroad, expatriating, or foreigners who want to do some pre-immigration planning. And we deal with an awful lot of trusts. And I would say about 45% of our gross revenues is tied to funds and corporate work. So we do an awful lot of partnership fund, private equity, VC fund, and corporate work, US corporate work. But it's all the foreign side of the US tax law. So what I have been asked to speak about would be offshore pensions. A lot of Americans set up asset protection trusts outside of the United States, and we do a lot of the compliance for those. And for those 7 million Americans living outside the United States, and a lot of Americans living in the United States who have at some point in time lived abroad, there are an awful lot of pension trusts that we advise on setting up the pension trusts, as well as the compliance, the annual compliance for those pension trusts. And we deal a lot with a lot of foreign nationals who have been advised to set up U.S. trusts, and they're more of a, they're what we call defective trusts. They're trusts that are set up in the United States, but governed and controlled out of the United States. So therefore, they are considered to be a foreign grantor trust for U.S. tax purposes, not subject to U.S. income tax. But a lot of times they put structures together where they have a U.S. LLC owning their foreign assets. And because you have a foreign-owned U.S. LLC, you now have filing requirements. So if you want to get away from U.S. filing requirements, you don't use U.S. LLCs. I'm sorry, you use those in the United States. You don't use those abroad. Anyway, so I plan to talk a lot about passive foreign investment companies and foreign trusts and investing abroad, Americans investing abroad or moving abroad, or basically the foreign side of the U.S. tax law. There's a lot of changes in the law, and the structures that were set in place 5 years ago are more than likely no longer valid or need to be reviewed in light of not just the changes made by Trump in 2017, but also the proposed changes being made by both Democrats and the Republicans right now, and Biden in his new tax law changes. And I would say if you have offshore foreign structures, you really need to be aware of what's going on, okay? And the added filing requirements, and the fact that the US has implemented this new corporate registry in the United States is very, very important, especially for closely held businesses, not for publicly traded companies, but for closely held businesses. And when you're talking about, ownership being, knowledge being given to the FinCEN, which is the Financial Enforcement Crimes Unit, just like FBARs, Report of Foreign Bank Accounts, that's important. And it's not just corporate. They believe, depending on which law firm you talk to, that you're looking at putting in information on foreign trusts as well as U.S. trusts, not necessarily foreign trusts, but U.S. trusts, as well as U.S. partnerships, private equity type deals. The IRS and the government want to know who's investing where. Who are the investors? Where are they? Are they reporting? So, yes, I think it's important that you come to the event. Uncertainty is the key word. Who knows what Congress is going to actually, with the law that they're going to pass next, but trust me, it's not going to be a simplification act. Things just keep becoming more and more complex, and you want to make sure you stay on top of it. It's important because the current legislation is going to change and various aspects of the current legislation. So you want to take advantage while you can of the current legislation in anticipation of some of these changes, specifically the estate planning. Right now, uh, being able to gift for free 11.785 million, that's going to go away. That is no longer. That is history. So do something. Use it now. Don't sit and wait. If you have the ability to do that, and if your concern is you don't want to have this much money landing on your children your minor children, then you set it up in a trust vehicle of which you can exercise some type of control. So it's important that I think you actually look at what the current legislation is and what the proposals are, and act accordingly. I look forward to meeting you all at the President's Week in Las Vegas. How exciting!